Rupert's Royal Roundup.
Rupert! Good morning, Rupert.
Well, good afternoon, David. Welcome to Vietnam, middle of the Mekong. Thank you very much. I look red-faced just like that little trail because I've got sunburn. It's all very good. And it's nicely hot and sweaty here. So there we go.
Lovely. Sounds lovely. Look, I mean, very kind of you to break into your holiday and gallivanting around the world as you are. But I'm very grateful.
Well, thank you, David. Yeah, well, I just thought I've been by the pool all day that I can spare you 20 minutes or so of my time.
You can really go off people, by the way, and thanks for sending that photo as well. I was really not very happy about that when I saw that this morning.
Well, I just thought I'd rub it in, but anyway.
Now, there's a brilliant article which is about Harry and Meghan, our favourite couple, which was in the Telegraph. Harry and Meghan have really fallen out of favour, haven't they, with pretty much everyone. Harry and Meghan, according to this, we know they went to Pasadena in LA to offer hugs and sympathy to survivors of the wildfires. And it's gone down really badly.
Yes, well, this article, it's all come out from a long article in Vanity Fair, which used to be a magazine that had certainly favourable views of Meghan and Harry. But this is a very detailed sort of analysis of their current state of play, talking to various people who have worked with them while they've been in America and sort of all trying to get an all-round picture. But reading the article, what you actually feel is that it's all very negative. One person does say, I think in the article, they seem very loved up, but it's the way that, of course, before they left, there were bullying allegations against Meghan. And now they're saying that once again, this leopard hasn't changed her spots and that she has once again been bullying staff, talking about the podcast, which was very unsuccessful and how difficult it was to put that together and just the way they've gone about their behaviour, their sort of approach to life. Nothing has changed. And certainly people in Montecito don't seem to like them very much. And it just really puts their current state of play that, as I say, she's got this program coming out in being delayed now, coming out at the beginning of March. We saw her, of course, going to have that visit in Pasadena to meet some people who were victims of the horrible fires in LA, losing their houses. But again, their PR strategy just doesn't seem to be working. And if Vanity Fair has turned against them, then the future at the moment is pretty bleak for the Sussexes.
I mean, Justine Bateman, who's a Hollywood filmmaker, said Meghan Markle and Harry are no better than ambulance chasers. What a repulsive photo op they achieved. They're touring the damage. What are they? Are they politicians? They don't live in Pasadena. They are tourists. They're disaster tourists. I mean, this has come across very badly indeed. They wrote a huffy-puffy, according to this article, 631-word whine about Zuckerberg's decision to end the censorship on, this is on Facebook. They basically used these dreadful words again: normalising hate speech, sowing division, undermining diversity and equality, endangering marginalised communities, destroying democracy. Do you know what? I don't think it is actually about the PR necessarily. I think it's about the intent. The intent, as far as I can see, is to further their own interests rather than looking after people that they purport to represent.
Well, I think one of the problems is they've commercially got to make their life work. And obviously that's their most important priority now. How can they live the life that they want? Now, but America doesn't want dukes and duchesses running around the country. It's just not in their DNA. And yet here they are, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are promoting, their life, and it's not going down well. And more importantly, they say they don't want the press, but they need the press. And their hypocrisy is currently writ large because they need the oxygen of publicity, but the way they're going about it is basically causing them more problems, and people are seeing through the act that they're bringing to the party. Now, his trial is going to be happening this week in London, the start of against the MGM and News International, I believe. So it's a big week for him in the court of law over here. So it's going to be again, they're going to be attracting all sorts of headlines. But for Meghan and Harry at the moment, it's not going well for them, particularly as America appears to be definitely turning against them.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this. In the Sunday Times today, Prince Harry is said to have pitched a sociopath podcast to the Spotify. A lengthy new profile of the couple reveals this. This is again in Vanity Fair. You know, they've got this deal with Spotify. Apparently, so he's pitched this really weird idea about, oh, let's do a show on sociopaths.
Well, yes, well, we sort of heard this before. So the article at times has gone over sort of things that have been already out there, much talked about, that some of his ideas were seen as stark raving mad. And the idea that interviewed Vladimir Putin to find out why he was a sociopath, it just seemed to me a pretty stupid idea, which was laughed out by all accounts by the people behind it, because it just wasn't going to get off ground. How he even thought that was a good idea. But of course, he does play, he's in this article has said that, he basically still feels that his mother was murdered, and he doesn't know why he hasn't turned out to be a bit of a sociopath himself. But, what it also says is he's not particularly good at reading the room. And he may not be, a bit like his uncle, the brightest tool in the box. So I think that might be part of the, well.
Yeah. So, front page of the Mail. I'll tell you who looks fantastic. So Sophie looks fantastic. 60. She's 60. And there's a lot of talk about her. She and her husband have just got on with it. She's kind of like a bit of a secret weapon, and she's really come into her own, I think, and she's matured. She's got an amazing dress sense now. I mean, I think it's fair to say, and you know far more than me, that when their engagement was announced, she was sort of, let's just say she dressed rather differently in sort of clompier shoes, and now obviously she's looking very elegant.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I think one of the things, I think she's got confidence now in her role. She completely is at one with her status. She came from a PR background in the 90s, in the day for Capital Radio, and then from a PR perspective, married in 1999. It hasn't always been a smooth road, but definitely towards the end of the Queen's and Prince Philip's life, she started to get more and more, her role became within the family much more important, and was very helpful at all times. But more importantly, and I know from speaking from teams, people who work within the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's office, that they are a very hard-working pair. They don't want fuss and bother. They just want to get on with it and try and help the royal family out as much as possible. And she is very much part of that and wants to just be, right, what do I need to do? I'll get on with it. She also does promote some pretty bold causes. I mean, she's not frightened of going to Ukraine and various other places to try and draw attention to certain issues. So she's definitely has an understanding of what part she has to play within the pared down royal family.
And of course she concentrates on women's issues, doesn't she, in conflict zones, and I admire her for that. So good for her, and happy birthday to her. I did name drop earlier. I've had dinner with her, so I just thought I'd throw that at you, Rupert. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dear.
1-0 to David Bowe, but have you presented an award to the Princess Royal? Anyway, there we go.
Oh, very good. Touche, yes. Very good. Now, talking about booze, there's quite a brilliant story, isn't there, about Prince William?
Yes, well, as you know, I'm an Aston Villa supporter.
I'm sorry about
that. But earlier this week, the future king, we know he is also a passionate Aston Villa supporter, as is his son George. They can, when it's all has to be worked out, often go to Villa Park, and the king, future king, will also nip into Bodymore Heath, which is the Aston Villa training ground, at any time if he should happen to be passing. But he wanted to arrange a chance when he was in Birmingham, he'd been talking at a conference for paramedics in Birmingham that was taking place, I think, on Wednesday. And then after that visit, he said, before I take my train back to London, I'd like to meet some proper die-hard Villa fans on their way to watch the match against Everton. And so he's ended up in a Wetherspoons, 8 of them, Wetherspoons table. I think he had a pint of cider, but they had a pint of Wetherspoons finest. And they had, by all accounts, the fans who were there, okay, they were hand-picked, but they all said that when they were talking Villa, it wasn't. He knew exactly what was going on with regard to the team, the transfers, how they've been playing, and he did say that as soon as he got home, he'd be watching the game. Luckily, the Aston Villa won 1-0, so that would have pleased him, and as it did me as well. But he shows that when it comes to Aston Villa, this is not a fake fan moment, as sometimes people in politicians, we've suddenly Tony Blair discovering that he was a die-hard Newcastle fan and was somewhat exposed, I think, by his lack of knowledge. So for once, we genuinely say Prince William's interest in Aston Villa is not just something for the headlines. He is a genuine fan.
For me, the bigger story, he was in the Spoons. I mean, who doesn't love a Spoons, including the future king?
Well, and Spoons at a station too.
Well, I mean, right. Brilliant.
But the New Street Spoons is one I haven't been into. I'm sure it was given a big clean-up before he arrived. And but anyway, the fact is, there he was in Birmingham, going around meeting Villa fans. I don't think Birmingham City fans think of it, but for Villa fans, it just proves that it's something that he's genuine about.
Very funny. Rupert, you're like this, by the way. I mean, you speak terribly well. You speak with Queen's English. You have received pronunciation. Apparently, your accent tells a lot about people. So apparently, if you are well-spoken, if you have received pronunciation, you're perceived to be smarter, more educated and richer than people with other accents.
Smarter, no. You haven't seen my school.
That is true.
Why am I giving up time on my holiday to talk to you? So obviously I'm not rich enough. So, so there you go.
Brilliant, Rupert. Honestly, I appreciate it so much that you've taken the time out of your hard-earned holiday to join me this morning. Rupert Bell there in Vietnam, live. That was today, Rupert. Roundup.